NBC Sports. Brings you the sixth game of the 1968 World Series. The Detroit Tigers versus the St. Louis Cardinals.
Brought to you by Chrysler Canada Limited and the Dodge, Plymouth, Roots, and Simca dealers who sell the quality engineered cars and trucks by Chrysler. By the more than 1,350 branches in Canada of the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. And by Gillette, makers of new Right Guard antiperspirant in the silver can.
Once again, Bush Memorial Stadium, the gateway arch to the west, and once again the weatherman has become an important factor in the World Series. Showers off and on this morning. This game is going to be delayed 10 minutes. Neither team took batting or fielding practice. The tarp has just been removed from the field, and you can see the St. Louis ground crew now getting the diamond ready. So we will have a delay of 10 minutes, but Game 6 of the World Series is definitely on. Hi, everybody. I'm Kurt Gowdy of NBC Sports. This is Harry Carey, the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, and down around the stadium and roaming around wherever he may be will be Tony Kubek, also of NBC. And a hypodermic needle has now become the big story of the sixth game. Denny McLain, the 31-game winner of the Tigers, was supposed to be done in this series because of a sore shoulder. But yesterday morning, Dr. Russell Wright, the team physician of the Detroit Tigers, injected a combination of xylocaine, that's a form of Novocaine, to ease the pain, and cortisone to ease the inflammation. The injection was made into McLain's right shoulder, and after the injection, he went to the sidelines, did some throwing, and announced that his arm felt much better, that he wanted to pitch again. And so the Tigers bring him in there today. He'll be going for the Tigers. Ray Washburn will be going for the St. Louis Cardinals. And, of course, Harry Carey, the Cardinals can still win it. They're game up by winning today. And the Tigers can prolong it. It can go to Game 7 tomorrow. And if it does go to Game 7, Lolich and Gibson are already set to be the starting pitchers in that game.
That is true, and they're both unbeaten in the World Series so far. And the St. Louis Cardinals, you know, Kurt, in 46 when they beat the Boston Red Sox, the series went 7 games. In 64 when they beat the Yankees and went 7. Last year when they beat the Red Sox and went 7. And so they've had an affinity with 7-game World Series. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it doesn't turn out that way again this year.
Well, this series has had the same pattern as last year. The Cardinals won, then they lost to Lombard. This year they lost to Lolich. Then they came back and won 2 more to go 3-1 up. And then Lolich, like Lombard last year, came back to keep it going. It's been an almost the same pattern with one pitcher stopping the Cardinals from winning it.
You know, the fascinating story to me, Kurt, is Denny McLain. So interesting about the hypodermic needle, keeping a great pitcher in the contest. But here's McLain now, who went to his manager yesterday, I understand, after pitching for 10 minutes in a workout in Detroit, and said, Mayo, give me that baseball. I know I can win for you tomorrow. Well, he's won for him all year long, and he's going to get his wish, and he's going to be out there this afternoon.
You know, actually, Harry, not much had been talked about his sore shoulder, but he had this sore arm during the month of September, and he'd taken 4 or 5 x-ray treatments to keep it under control. They had hesitated to use the cortisone shot in his shoulder because they say it temporarily tightens the shoulder up. But, of course, they wanted him in here if at all possible, so they went ahead and gave him the injection yesterday.
You know, he has a great incentive today, too, Kurt, because no pitcher in World Series competition since the World Series became a best 4 out of 7 has ever lost 3. And the irony of the greatest winner in some 37 years in the American League being the biggest loser in World Series competition, well, it would be so ironical, almost defies any understanding at all.
Well, of course, they're already talking about stars and goats of this series, but we'll get back to that later. Right now, let's get down to the stands to Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Kurt and Harry. Down here we've got the manager of the Detroit Tigers, manager Mayo Smith. Mayo, you've had more big decisions in this World Series thus far than any manager I've seen. You've done so well. What about the big decision, today's pitcher? When did you know McLean would be able to pitch?
Well, this morning out here at the clubhouse, I brought Earl and Denny into my office, and Denny threw 15 minutes over in Detroit yesterday and threw the ball very well, and he said his arm felt real good, and I wanted to make sure that that it still felt good this morning, and Earl still has a slight soreness in his leg, and we decided to go with Denny, and Earl will be in the bullpen available.
Mayo, you know the shot that Denny got in the shoulder. I don't know exactly medically what it was, but there's no chance. I imagine you wouldn't pitch him if there was a chance of being some permanent damage.
Yes, this is true. I would never take that chance, and of course this was a cortisone shot, and in 48 hours, why it has the effect of whether it does any good or whether it doesn't. But Denny says that his arm feels better than it has in 2 months, so we're going with him today.
Mayo, talking about big decisions, you had a big one the other day in the 5th game with Lolich pitching 3-2. You got Mickey up there and turned out well, but you let Lolich hit. I bet there were a lot of things running through your mind with that one.
Oh, yes, of course. Don Wirt was the leadoff hitter, and of course, if Don had gone on, I would have pinch hit for Mickey. But with one man out, the 8th and 9th place hitters are going to come up again because we've got, after the 7th inning, we got 2 more shots at him. And Mickey, he was pitching so well that I just figured we can catch up within the next 2 times at bat. So, fortunately, as you say, Mickey got a humpback single to right field and started the rally, and of course, we went on to win it.
Mayo, Kaline has been just phenomenal in this series. He impressed me so much the other day against Bob Gibson. I've never seen him quite hang in there the way he did and really battled.
Well, as you know, Tony, this is Al's first World Series after 16 seasons, and if there's ever a pro, he is, and I don't think that I could wish for a better situation with the bases loaded over there Monday and having Al as a hitter. So he came through, and he's kept us alive, and I'm very happy for him, as I know all his teammates are.
Mayo, thank you so much. We're looking forward to a victory for you here in St. Louis in the 6th game, and hope we see you for the 7th. I know you hope that same thing.
You said it, Tony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayo Smith. Now let's go back upstairs to Kurt and Harry.
Mayo Smith was talking about Kaline. He's been the star of the Tigers. He leads them in average and runs batted in. He's fielded very well. McCullough's done a great job at second base. And, of course, over in the Cardinals, Harry, it's been Brock again and Bob Gibson. Cepeda leads in RBI. They've been the standout so far to the fans around the country.
I think a surprising development, Kurt, is the fact that in the segment of the series in Detroit, the St. Louis Cardinals actually hit more home runs than the Detroit Tigers, who are known for their power. Of course, here, the Tigers have out-homered the Cardinals 3-1. The Redbirds never did hit many home runs in this expansive ballpark. It's going to be I have to say about Mayo Smith that he has certainly shown intestinal fortitude. The move of getting Kaline into the lineup has certainly paid off. Stanley's done a fine job for him at shortstop. He has shown the insides of an outstanding manager.
That's right. Now, Harry, how about you? This is your home park. You've done the Cardinal games here for 24 years. How about you taking the nation fans around Bush Memorial Stadium and pointing out some of the highlights?
All right, fine, Kurt. Let's take a look at it. Down the left field line, 330 feet. The ballpark, of course, is sold out. There'll be 54,000 plus here, as there have been for every game of the series in St. Louis. Down the alleys, it's 386 in left center. It is 414 to the center field wall. You notice the big, wide scoreboard out there. In right center, it's 386, the same as in left center. And down the right field line, identically to the left field line, 330 feet. There are no tricks at all except in that right field corner. Sometimes that ball takes a funny hop and rolls around in that gate area. The pitchers are warming up in spots where they usually do during the course of the season, although the bullpens during the World Series are out beyond the wall in left center and right center. Now the pitchers today. First, though, let's go down to the field or wherever Tony Kubek might be.
Thank you, Harry Carey. Thank you, Kurt Gowdy. We've got Bill Freehan, the catcher for the Detroit Tigers, with us down here. Bill, what about McLean? The first 2 times out, he has not had good stuff, has he?
No, for sure he hasn't been pitching like he did in the regular season, and he's coming back, as you know, with sort of a short notice type setup. There was question about whether his arm was sound, and I think Denny's about the only one that can answer those questions, and the only place he can answer them is out on the mound today, and we're just going to have to see, because I'll tell you what, a good pitching performance right today would really pick our ball club up, because it's something we need right now.
Let's talk about Ray Washburn. You batted against him the last time. He didn't last the full game. What kind of pitcher is Ray Washburn? What are you going to be looking for off Ray?
Well, he's a tough pitcher. He misses his pitches up good. He's got a pretty good fastball, and he's got a good slow curve and a slider, too. He can't really look for anything because he'll throw a breaking ball, too, when he's behind or something like that. So, shoot, I don't know what I've been looking for, but I'm just going to try to make a little contact.
Well, you know, the last ball game you played, now, this is just my personal opinion. It looked like you might have been swinging the bat a little bit better. You've been getting a lot of advice, I know, from all different angles, and everybody's been telling you you're doing this wrong and that. What are you going to try and do today? Just relax?
Tony, I was trying to believe in some of your mistakes yesterday. There's no use lingering on them. No use worrying about what's behind you. Think about what's ahead of you, because right now we're not in too bad a situation. We can win this ballgame. We're right even with these people again, and if I worry too much about what happened yesterday, it's not going to do me too much good. So I'm just going to be positive as I can, and maybe I can help the club with my bat in the last couple of games. That's what I'm hoping for.
Bill Freehan, we hope you're right, and we hope the Tigers can take it to 7. Good for baseball, good for everybody concerned. Thank you so much.
Okay, Tony, thank you.
Now let's go back upstairs to Kurt and Harry.
The pitchers have been getting ready for the last 5 minutes or so. And the big story, of course, Denny McLain, 24 years old, a 31-game winner during the course of the regular season. You see him in slow motion. Anybody that can win 31 games, you know is outstanding. He hasn't been that outstanding in the World Series, and he himself is more aware of that than anybody else. He has a fine fastball, has a wide assortment of pitches, a great competitor. And just the story of his approaching his manager and wanting so badly to get the baseball, to win a big ball game for his Tigers, I think reflects that as well as anything. Across the way is Ray Washburn. He's 30 years old. The right-hander had his best season in the major leagues this past year when he won 14 and lost 8. He won the 3rd game of the series 7-3. Needed relief help from Joe Horner, the southpaw. He is basically an off-speed pitcher now. Until he hurt his arm about 5-6 years ago, he was outstandingly fast. As a result of the arm problem, he had to learn off-speed pitches, and he has learned them well. Now the lineups, Kurt.
All right, let's take the visitors first. The Detroit Tigers, leading off at second base, will be Dick McCullough. At shortstop, Mickey Stanley. Al Kaline is batting third in right field. Norm Cash will be the cleanup man at first base. Willie Horton in left field, batting number 5. Jim Northrup in center field, batting number 6. Bill Freehan is the catcher, hitting 7th. Don Wirth, the third baseman, batting 8th. And Denny McLain is the pitcher today for the Tigers. There's the lineup. Hope you'll keep score along with us. Now the home-standing Cardinals. Lou Brock leading off in left field. Curt Flood in center field, batting number 2. Roger Maris in right field, batting 3rd. Orlando Cepeda is the cleanup man at first base. Tim McCarver is catching and hitting 5th. Mike Shannon at third base, batting 6th. Julian Javier is the second baseman, batting 7th. Dal Maxville is the shortstop, batting 8th. And Ray Washburn is the pitcher today for St. Louis. For those that have joined us late, we've had off and on showers all morning. This game is being delayed. It'll probably scheduled to start at 1 o'clock here St. Louis time. We'll start at 1:10. The grounds crew has just put the infield in order. Neither team took batting or fielding practice. The tarp has been on. We may have a few soft spots in the outfield, but altogether, unless it rains some more, the diamond should be in good shape. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go down to the field.
Here are the lineups for Game 6 of the 1968 World Series. First, the Detroit Tigers. Here is the manager of the Tigers, number 10, Mayo Smith. Batting first and playing second base, number 3, Dick McCullough. Batting second and playing shortstop, number 24, Mickey Stanley. Batting third and playing right field, number 6, Al Kaline. Batting fourth and playing first base, number 25, Norm Cash. Batting fifth and playing left field, number 23, Willie Horton. Batting sixth and playing center field, number 5, Jim Northrup. Batting seventh and catching, number 11, Bill Freehand. Batting eighth and playing third base, number 8, Don Wirt. Batting ninth and pitching, number 17, Denny McLean, who is warming up in the bullpen. And here are the remaining coaches and players of the Detroit Tigers. Now for the St. Louis Cardinals. Here is manager Red Schoendienst. Batting first and playing left field, number 20, Lou Brock. Batting second and playing center field, number 21, Curt Flood. Batting third and playing right field, number 9, Roger Maris. Batting fourth and playing first base, number 30, Orlando Cepeda. Batting fifth and catching, number 15, Tim McCarver. Batting sixth and playing third base, number 18, Mike Shannon. Batting seventh and playing second base, number 25, Julian Javier. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, number 27, Dal Maxfield. Batting ninth and pitching, number 44, Ray Washburn, who is warming up in the bullpen. And here are the remaining coaches and players of the St. Louis Cardinals. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem, which will be played by Dick Renna's band and will be sung by Miss Lydia Hunter, a graduate student majoring in music at Washington University.
Bye.
The sixth game of the 1968 World Series is being brought to you from St. Louis as the Tigers meet the Cardinals.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, feel confident. Stay dry with new Right Guard Antiperspirant, a completely new product from Right Guard. Right Guard Antiperspirant is a new defense against perspiration. It contains a tested agent that checks perspiration wetness. Feel confident. Stay dry. Get new Right Guard Antiperspirant in the silver can.
Give me a dozen lemon limes.
What?
Lemon limes.
Look, I can give you lemons or limes, but there's no such thing as a lemon lime.
No? Well, what do you call this? Gillette Foamy with lemon lime. Oh, smell it. It's not sweet like plain lime. The lemon keeps it tangy. See that? Gillette Foamy with lemon lime. Now could you give me a dozen lemon limes?
Sure, mister. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
An identification. This is the NBC television network. The umpires meeting at home plate. Manager Mayo Smith and Red Shaney's coming out for the Cardinals. Tom Heller will be behind the plate. Tom Gorman at first. Jim Honeychick at second. Stan Landis at third. Bill Kinnaman umpiring the left field line, and Doug Harvey the right field line. The 6 umpires now have done the complete rotation. Each of them has been at one station during this World Series. The first ball is going to be thrown out by the president of the National League, Warren Giles, who's been the president of the National League since 1951. And his toss goes to Tim McCarver. It'll probably be repeated again, which has been a pattern here for photographic reasons. No? The umpires are taking their positions. The Cardinals will be out of their dugout here in just a second. Denny McLain is still warming up there. The Cardinals. Washburn has come in from the bullpen. And so, we'll see whether the World Series now will be over today or whether it's going to Game 7. And once again, if you joined us late, this game has been delayed. We've had rain off and on, and we still could have more showers. Neither team took batting or fielding practice. The tarp was taken off about 20 minutes to 1 here, St. Louis time. The grounds crew put the diamond in shape. We're waiting for Washburn to come out, and I know you're waiting for the play-by-play in the first 4.5 innings of the outstanding voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, Mr. Harry Carey.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Hello again, everybody. The field in fine shape, as Kurt mentioned to you, in spite of the rains. The crowd, of course, capacity. Ray Washburn hasn't made his appearance. If the earned run averages of the 2 pitchers in this series to date hold up, we're going to have a free-scoring game. Denny McLain is coming in from the left field corner. His warm-up pitches have been completed. There's Washburn getting a nice hand as he comes out. Naturally, the crowd here very pro-Cardinals, just as it was very much pro-Tigers in Detroit. And that, of course, is only obvious and natural. Washburn, 30 years old, his best season, 14-8. He pitched a no-hitter, I'm sure all of you will recall, against the San Francisco Giants this past season. He was born in Pasco, Washington, and lives in Kirkland, Washington. A right-hander whose specialty now is off-speed curveball. As a result of having to develop that type of pitching because of a sore arm. His perseverance and determination in the face of injury, many might have tossed in the towel and gone for some other profession, but he stuck to his guns, and here he is appearing in his first World Series as a result. Not actually appearing in his first World Series, but starting in his first World Series. He had been with the Cardinals when they won in '64 and also last year. Dick McAuliffe will be leading it off for the Tigers. McAuliffe has had 6 hits in the series, one of them a home run. His series average is .286. His season's average was .249. This is one of a number of Tiger players who have made a great impression on the St. Louis Cardinals. An aggressive ball player, an aggressive hitter. with one of the most peculiar and unique batting stances that the game has known. Some compare the way he raises his front foot to the way Mel Ott used to bat. The first pitch of the sixth game. Strike a fastball. The outfield is playing McAuliffe to pull. They give him a lot of room, as you notice, in left center. McCarver behind the plate. Strike, another fastball. That fastball moved away from the left-hand hitters. What they call a fastball that runs. Washburn ahead, 2 strikes and nothing. Dick McAuliffe leading off for the Tigers. Struck him out on a slow curve. Now coming up, Mickey Stanley, an outstanding defensive center fielder. In a bold move, has played a fine shortstop. Stanley has had 4 out of 19 in the series, which is a .211 average. He has good power. Fastball swung on. And Maris is waiting for the ball near the track. Stanley hit the ball deep, but out in the right field. Now Al Kaline, one of the all-time great ball players, having a good series with 8 out of 21. A .381 average. He's had 1 homer. He's driven in 4 runs. Strike, a fastball. Washburn's control much better today than it was in the 3rd game of the series which he pitched. There's Wally Moses coaching at first base for the Tigers, and Tony Cuccinello at 3rd. Fastball low. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 out, nobody on. 6th game of the World Series. Kaline has power everywhere. Fouls one off to the right.
Kurt, what he's been doing in this series, Harry, and he's done it most of his life, is he hits the low fastball, tries to go the opposite field with it. Good breaking ball hitter and a good high fastball hitter.
2 strikes and a ball. 2 out, nobody on, 1st inning. Low curve, and he got him swinging. Oh, it is 1-2-3, nothing across. We go to the bottom half of the 1st inning, no score.
Just look what Plymouth's up to now.
The all-new Plymouth Fury for 1969. So big, so beautiful, so fresh in design, it's hard to believe this is a popular priced car. Fury has more comfort, more roominess, more luxury, and behind the wheel, more excitement.
Just look what Plymouth's up to now.
The 1969 Plymouth Valiant, built to Chrysler standards of 6-passenger roominess and comfort. The honest compact. Fury, Valiant, Barracuda, and Belvedere at your Plymouth dealers.
Back at Bush Memorial Stadium in St. Louis, Lou Brock will be leading it off for St. Louis. He's had an outstanding World Series. Denny McLain on the mound. Look at that record for the season. Earned run average 1.96, 31-6. But he's lost 2 in this World Series, and he is very, very determined not to make a 3.
Now, Harry, if he doesn't look right, I'm sure there'll be immediate action in that Tiger bullpen.
Lou Brock. In each of the last 3 games of the series, Brock has reached base to start the contest. hitting .524. 400 for World Series competition. McLean started him off with an off-speed curveball, and Brock was way off stride as he fouled down the third base line. Denny McLean, looking for his first victory in the World Series. Tigers must win in order to prolong the series. Right back to McLean. He'll throw him out easily. So McLean got Brock on a tap back to the mound. That will bring up Curt Flood. It's awfully early to make any observations, Curt, but he does seem to be throwing freer out there.
The problem has been, according to Dr. Wright of the Tigers, that in this series, when he's really tried to cut loose with his fastball, it has hurt. He's had pain out of it and has thrown his control out.
Curt Flood, fastball outside. Flood is hitting an even .300 for the series. He batted .301 for the year. And that's just about how consistent he is. Fastball high. 2 balls, no strikes. Bill Haller of the American League is the plate umpire. He has a brother, Tom, who's caught in the National League for years, now with the Dodgers. Smash right to Stanley. A wicked low-line drive, but Mickey Stanley grabbed it. Roger Maris, who may be playing the final game of his illustrious career today. It'll be the final game if the Cardinals win. The magic numbers are simple. 1 for St. Louis, 2 for Detroit. Pitch low, curveball. Maris in this series has had only 1 out of 12, which is .083. Last year, he had an outstanding series. Denny McLean. Fastball in there. A good high-riding fastball. Caught that outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 out, nobody on. No score. Bouncing ball. Fine play by Wirth. He's out. Beautiful play by third baseman Don Wirth, who had a leap and throw perfectly. 1, 2, 3, nothing across. At the end of 1 inning, no score.
Want to buy a horse? Get a Commerce Boots and Saddle loan. Paul got a Boots and Saddle loan from the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce and bought 50 horses. Elizabeth got a Commerce Boots and Saddle loan and bought 16 horses. Claude got a Commerce Boots and Saddle loan and built a horse. You already have some horsepower? Get something for it to pull. Whatever you want, get it with a bank plan loan from the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. You'll find it easy to arrange. Just talk to the people at the Commerce.
With Curt Gowdy and Tony Kubek, this is Harry Carey. This game is authorized under television rights granted by the Commissioner's Office solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Norm Cash, hitting .333 in the series. Hit .263 during the season. A power hitter. Slow curve, low.
Washburn's using that slow curve a lot, Harry.
That has become his bread and butter pitch. From a fastball slider pitcher of 5 years ago to an off-speed pitcher now. And he's had more success, as it turns out, with off-speed pitches than he did earlier in his career. There was the fastball inside. As a result of his arm trouble a few years ago, Washburn is not as fast, but the use of off-speed pitches makes now his fastball appear quicker. Missed outside, ball 3. Norm Cash, the only member of the Tigers who has had previous World Series experience, played with the White Sox. There's a strike call. That is in the starting lineup. I'm sure Eddie Matthews was in more than just one. There you have a breakdown on Washburn's record for the year. Slider misses inside, ball 4. The first base runner of the day. Other members of the Tigers who have been in World Series, besides Cash and Matthews, Dick Tracewski, utility infielder, and Don McMahon, relief pitcher. Willie Horton. During the season, he walloped 36 home runs. He's hit 1 during this series. Great power. Strike, the fastball. The home run that Horton hit was in this ballpark against Ryle in the second game of the series. I mentioned earlier, strangely enough, the Cardinals out-homered the Tigers in Detroit, which was a surprise. There's no surprise that the Tigers have out-homered the Cardinals here. Slow curve, foul tip. McCarver may have taken it on a fingertip, but no damage. 2 strikes and nothing on Willie Horton. The outfield plays him straight away and deep. Horton is the kind of hitter that can hit the ball out of the park in any direction.
Let's see if Washburn gives him a breaking pitch in the dirt. Sometimes Willie gets over anxious and chases one.
He gave him that tempting, tantalizing slow curve, low and away, almost exactly where you saw McCarver switch before the pitch, but Horton would have none of that. 2 strikes and a ball. No score. Top of the second. Cash at first base. There's a drive. Flood on the run. Might be between them. It is. Base hit. Cash is going to the wall. Cash might score. Here he comes. He'll make it. Norm Cash scores all the way from first base on Willie Horton's double to left center. Brock, cutting behind Flood, had a chance to cut the ball off. Couldn't quite make it. The Tigers are out in front, 1-0.
Slow outfield, Harry. Any other day, that ball would have scooted through to the fence.
Now Jim Northrup. He's had 3 out of 19. The slow curve. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 Detroit, top of the second. During the regular season, Horton hit 21 homers, led the team in runs batted in with 90. The slow curve in there. Jim Northrup, 90 RBIs, 21 homers. Willie Horton at second base, having just driven in the first run. Missed inside with the slider. Washburn in this inning has been behind hitters. In the first inning, he was ahead of them. Horton, a safe lead. Bouncing ball foul. Northrup is played to pull. They give him a lot of room in left center. You notice Flood is a couple of steps shaded towards right. Two balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out on a curve. Washburn may have gotten away with a pitch. That ball was high, a slow curve ball up high, just below the letters, but Northrop missed it.
Here's a fellow, Bill Freehan, who's looking for his first series hit, and he's received hundreds of telegrams of tips of what to do about getting his batting average going and how to get a base hit in the World Series. Got a good sense of humor. He has them pasted up all over his locker in the Tiger clubhouse.
Fine competitor, good catcher, hit .263 during the regular season with 25 homers. He's 0 for 16, and that can't go on much longer. He's too good a hitter for that. 1 ball, no strike. 1 out. Willie Horton at second base. Slow curve low. 2 balls, no strike. Washburn doesn't look as sharp as he has been on other occasions. In his first game of the season that he pitched in this series, he allowed only 3 hits. Misses again, ball 3. Of the 3 hits that he allowed in his previous start, 2 were by Dick McAuliffe, a homer and a single, and Kaline also had a home run against him. Fastball in there. 3 balls and a strike. Freehan glancing at Tony Cuccinello, who on signal from manager Mayo Smith controls the hitter taking the situation. There's Cooch. Line drive, base hit. Horton may score. The ball goes through Brock. 2-0, Detroit. Freehan's going to try for third. He makes it. A hit, an RBI, and an error. And it was inevitable. You just can't keep getting a hitter of Freehan's ability out that consistently.
Not only an all-star catcher because of his glove work, handling pitchers, but one of the most dangerous bats among the catchers in the major leagues, and he had to come through.
Lou Brock wanted to make a play to the plate, but the ball rolled through his leg. Rock has a strong arm. Doubtful, though, if he could have gotten the Horton, even had he fielded the ball cleanly. Don Wirth, the third baseman, had 1 out of 11. The infield is in. The fastball is high. 2-0 Tigers in the top of the second. McLean against Washburn. Swung at a slider and he missed it. That evens it, a ball and a strike. Infield in. The curve is low. 2 balls and a strike. It's been a tough inning for Washburn. Activity in the Cardinal bullpen. Ball 3, he's missing with both his fastball and his slow curve. A walk to Cash started this inning. A double by Horton drove him in. After Northrop fanned, Freehan got his first hit of the series, driving in the run. 3-2 situation on Don Wirth, who had 12 homers during the regular season and batted .200, driving in 37 runs. A pesky type of hitter, Freehan at third base. He walked him. This is 6th man now to come up in the innings, Denny McLean. In the Cardinal bullpen, Larry Jasker and Ron Willis. Jasker a left-hander, Willis a right-hander are warming up.
Wonder if the Tigers would put the squeeze on, Harry. This fellow led the American League pitchers this year in sacrifice bunts. He's a good bunter.
We'll keep an eye on Freehand to see if he breaks. The fastball was low. McLean, during the regular season, there's Billy Muffet, the pitching coach, coming out. Batted 162 averages. Batting averages for a pitcher aren't as important as the total number of hits they got. And he had 18 hits, which is a lot for a pitcher. And as Kurt mentioned about his ability to bunt, he had 16 sacrifices. It was a sharp confab on the mound, and now we're ready. Bouncing ball. It is foul. And Freehand will return to third base. McLean to the plate and work to first base. 2 runs are in. Detroit's out in front in the 6th game of the World Series. The Tigers must win for there to be a tomorrow so far as the series is concerned. If they do, it'll be Lolich for Detroit, Gibson for St. Louis tomorrow. Infield playing back now. Ground ball might get a double play. Maxfield to Javier to Cepeda. They do. The inning is over with 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 error, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 2nd. Detroit 2, St. Louis nothing. Up periscope. Up periscope. Bearing 150.
Ship ahoy. You've got Dodge fever. Man that Monaco. Design 69.
Take a long, slow look. Luxury liner comfort on a 122-inch wheelbase to give you a big car ride at a popular price. Under the hood, there's engine room for up to 440 cubic inches. New Superlight makes night driving super safe. Concealed windshield wipers keep the lines clean as a clipper ship. Inside, you're in command, in first-class comfort.
Dodge is turning up the fever now. Get your cheer for a new Dodge fever now.
Dodge fever at your Dodge dealer.
The 6th game of the 1968 World Series is being brought to you in living color from Bush Memorial Stadium in St. Louis, exclusively on NBC, where America watches more sports than on any other network. Orlando Cepeda. This is 3rd World Series and his best. He's had 2 homers. He's driven in 6 runs. He's had 5 out of 21. The fastball in there is strike call. McLean coming directly over the top. Cross-fired him that time. The count evens, a ball and a strike. The outfield against Cepeda straight away. As I mentioned about Horton, he can hit the ball anywhere. Base hit like a bullet. Cepeda opens the 2nd for the Cardinals, becoming the first base runner against McLean.
Cepeda was talking about the first 2 games in the series being important to a hitter. If you don't get a hit in those first 2 games, you start to fret. He said, I know what Bill Freehand was going through until this year. It had happened to me. He's been loose in this series.
McCarver, 7 hits in the series, batting .350. Hit .253 during the season. Fastball is in there. There's Dick Sisler, coaching at first base. Joe Schultz at third base for St. Louis. people in Seattle might take a good look at the Cardinals' third base coach. You'll see a lot of him next year as the manager of the Seattle team of the American League.
That definitely been announced?
No, but I think it's said. Everybody knows that it's going to happen. 2 strikes, no ball. Tim McCarty from Memphis, Tennessee. Cepeda is a good base runner. Fly ball. Hayline. Good play. No chance for a double play, though. Boy, on a heavy track, he sure got a fine jump on the ball, and that was why he was able to reach it.
I think the whole country has been rooting for K-Line. He's been such an outstanding pro for years, and everybody happy to see him having such a good series. At bat, in the field, on the bases, an all-around player who's always been able to beat you, not just one way, but many ways.
Mike Shannon, the Cardinals' third baseman, hit .266 during the regular season. Led his team in runs batted in was 79. In this series, hitting .286. In his previous 2 World Series, he hit home runs. So far in this one, he hasn't. 1 ball, no strike. Detroit in front 2-0. Cepeda can surprise you with a stolen base. Out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Many things about Cepeda that you don't realize until you watch him every day, as we've been privileged to. For example, Kurt, he's an outstanding defensive first baseman.
He showed that in Detroit in the 5th game with a couple of great stops.
1-1 situation here, and it's a fast double play possibility. Stanley to McAuliffe to Cash. So Shannon hits into a double play to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, nobody left. At the end of 2, it's Detroit 2, St. Louis nothing.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, feel confident. Stay dry with new Right Guard Antiperspirant, a completely new product from Right Guard. Right Guard Antiperspirant is a new defense against perspiration. It contains a tested agent that checks perspiration wetness. Feel confident. Stay dry. Get new Right Guard Antiperspirant in the silver can.
Take razor in right hand. Right hand. Now press button A.
You'd think to change your old Techmatic razor into our new adjustable Techmatic might be a big deal. But all you do is take out your old cartridge and put in our new one. It not only has all the advantages of the old Techmatic, but it now adjusts for a closer shave. You also get one other little satisfaction. You did it all yourself.
And now to the ever-roaming Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Harry. And once again, you can see I've caught a break in the stands. An attractive young lady. What is your name, and what does the uniform mean?
My name is Rachel Tal. I'm from Israel. That's the uniform of a policewoman in Israel, from Tel Aviv, Israel. And I'm here for the Israeli festival at the 6th Bar and Fuller department store downtown.
Raquel, nice seeing you. This is your first ball game?
Yes, that's my first ball game that I'm seeing in my life, and I like it very much.
I guess you don't understand. But right now, let's go upstairs to Harry and Kurt.
Tony, how do you do it? How do you do it? What an assignment. Like to be arrested by her. First pitch is inside to McAuliffe, who fanned his first time at bat. 2-0 Detroit. We're in the 3rd inning. Fastball low. Boy, it's amazing. This fellow, even Lou Brock, as fast as he is, has been able to match what he did this past year. Didn't ground into a single double play. 162 game season. Never grounded into a double play. Fastball wide, ball 3. And only 2 the year before, and one of those was his last time at bat.
Washburn's really struggling. He's behind the hitters all the way in the 2nd, again here in the 3rd.
Ball 4. And that is the third pass for Washburn. He has fanned 3. And he has walked 3. Here's Mickey Stanley. Stanley flat out to right in the first inning. He's 4 for 20 now in the series. Hit .259 during the season with 11 homers, and many of them key home runs at one important ball game. There goes McAuliffe. The hit and run was on, and Stanley fouled the pitch off. McAuliffe and Stanley are always a threat on the hit and run because Stanley can handle the bat. McAuliffe has speed. Washburn is usually a control pitcher. This gray afternoon, he's had trouble. Pitch out. Nothing going on. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody out. A runner at first. Third inning, 6th game of the World Series. Detroit out in front, 2-0. Boy, there's an acre of ground in left center. Base hit in the left. And the Tigers now have runners at first and second, nobody out, and Al Kaline coming up. This is a situation in which they could certainly build up a comfortable cushion. They have their big hitters coming up with runners on base. The Cardinal bullpen busily engaged again. Kaline fanned in the first inning. The fastball is high. Kaline homered off Washburn earlier in the series. There's a smash, base hit. The run's going to score. Stanley races to third. McAuliffe has scored. It's 3-0 in favor of Detroit. And the St. Louis fans are a little unhappy now. As Billy Muffet comes out, that may be all for Ray Washburn. Al Kaline coming up with his 9th hit of the series, his 5th run batted in. And with Stanley doing nothing at all wrong at shortstop and Al Kaline banging the ball all over, manager Mayo Smith's move has certainly been more than justified.
And Kaline, Harry, now has had at least 1 hit in every game of the series.
There's a break in the action here. We're in the 3rd inning with Detroit out in front, 3-0.
Just look what Plymouth up to now.
Meet the beautiful 1969 GTX, one of the exciting Plymouth Belvedere line that includes Roadrunner and Sport Satellite. GTX is all sport, all luxury and comfort. From any angle, GTX is a great-looking performance car at a down-to-earth price. The sporty Plymouth Barracuda has a look and a personality all its own. A personality you can mold to match your own with a list of options as long as your arm. Performance car at a down-to-earth price. The sporty Plymouth Barracuda has a look and a personality all its own. A personality you can mold to match your own with a list of options as long as your arm. Fury. Valiant.
Gaster strolls to the mound. Let's stroll down to Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Harry Carey. We're alongside the Cardinal dugout with the Commissioner of Baseball, General William Eckert. General, on Sunday you had one of the toughest decisions of your life, McLean versus Gibson. The rain started falling. What about it?
Tony, it was a tough decision, and the factors involved were to get the best weather information I could and to think of those millions of fans around the country and those good fans in the stadium and what was best for them. Of course, first comes the player's safety on the field, so the best weather information, and we played a game there which many fans enjoyed, being Sunday, and that was a prime factor other than the player's safety, and the field was safe.
Mr. Commissioner, I guess when you came out here today and saw the rain falling, you thought, oh, another Sunday, I guess.
Well, the weatherman is good today. I checked with him yesterday and again this morning every 30 minutes, and he said, assures us that we'll have good weather for the rest of the day. At least good playable with it.
General Eckert, nice seeing you again. Think we'll go to 7?
Well, I'm for whatever number the best team wins, whether it's 6, 7, whatever.
General Eckert, Mr. Commissioner, thank you so much. Let's go back upstairs to Harry and Kurt.
All right, Tony. Larry Jaster is 24 years old, went to Michigan State University, born in Midland, Michigan, making his first appearance in this World Series. During the regular season, he won 9, lost 13. His previous World Series experience was 1 inning, or 1/3 of an inning, pitched last year against the Boston Red Sox. Jaster in the National League is known as the killer of the Dodgers. In 1966, he shut out the Los Angeles Dodgers 5 times in one season. 5 starts, 5 shutouts. And that's a Dodger team that won a championship. But this is the Detroit Tigers he faces this afternoon. Cash hits his first pitch. Base hit. Another run is in. Kaline racing for third. And the Tigers have a 4-run lead. Cash didn't fool around at all. The very first pitch, they brought the left-hander in to face the left-handed batter. Before Jaster could work on him at all, Cash had drilled a single to center. 4-0. 5 hits now for Detroit already. Still nobody out. Here's Willie Horton. Infield playing back, hoping for a double play. High fastball. Horton drove in the first run in the second inning with a double. The curve is low, ball 2.
Those line drive base hits to the outfield with the rain this morning. The outfield grass is slow. The ball is not rolling very fast out there. And these Tigers are really cartwheeling from first to third. They're going to third every time they can, out from first.
Without too much publicity, that Cash has had a good series. That was his 7th hit and 4th RBI. Ooh, what a cut he had, but he fouled it off. Willie had designs on one up over the Stadium Club on that pitch. Kaline at third. Cash at first. 2 runs are in. Nobody is out yet. I got it, Kurt. I'll protect you up here on that foul ball.
You don't have that fish net for this series.
No, I don't know why you fellows don't let me use that. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 4-0, Detroit out in front. Gee, the pattern of this series compared to a year ago is so consistent. The curve is low, ball 3. Now let's see if Cash will go on the 3-2 pitch. There's nobody out. The theory of going in this situation would be to try to stay away from a double play. The theory on not going is so you don't run into a double play on a strikeout. He's not going. Foul back. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ball players, when we say he sure had a good cut, Ball players are more concerned with the type of swing the batter takes than anything else. You can tell whether he's being fooled or not. And Mr. Horton is not being fooled. He's just fouling him off. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Runners first and third. Nobody out. The 5th man to bat in the inning, Al Kaline. At third, Cash at first. Three, 2 pitch. The bases are loaded. A big third inning for Detroit. 2 runs already home. Bases loaded. Nobody out. And here is Jim Northrup. As Kurt mentioned, Al Kaline now has hit safely in each game. He's waited 16 years for this thrill, and he is enjoying it to the fullest. Jim Northrup, who hit 2 Grand Slam homers in 1 game earlier this year, and led the major leagues with 4 of them in 1968.
I think he wound up that week hitting another one and had 3 in 1 week, too, Harry.
Well, they're loaded for him now. There's a drive. It's going to be a grand slam.
Well, he's the Grand Slam kid, isn't he? Hit 3 in 1 week during the season, led the majors, and hits a Grand Slammer in the World Series.
The first World Series he's ever played in, he gets his specialty. Against the left-hander, a towering home run. And the Tigers lead 8-0. He's the 11th man in World Series history to hit a Grand Slam. There's Mickey Lolich. Already he's thinking about his assignment tomorrow, I would suppose. Northrup, as you see, a very tickled young man. Willie Horton right behind him.
Gates Brown. Willie Horton hugging him. Billy Muffet at the mound again, and the Cardinals are having pitching problems today.
And Kurt, Bob Gibson against Mickey Lolich tomorrow. And the World's Baseball Championship will be decided by 1 game. A 162-game season. 6 games in the World Series will have produced no result. The final game of the year will decide it all. There's Steve Carlton down in the right field corner. But apparently, it will return to the bullpen. Joe Pepitone of the Yankees hit the last Grand Slammer, and it was against the Cardinals here in 1964. With the break in the action here, the score, Detroit 8, St. Louis nothing.
In this remote part of Canada, people depend on the river. And by river, regularly as clockwork, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce brings banking service to them. The SS Jean-Briand is just one of the more than 1,350 commerce branches in this country. It's typical of commerce determination to make your banking convenient. Think how handy your own commerce branch is. Here's why. Because the commerce has more branches than any other bank on this continent.
Bank of Commerce, Bank of Commerce.
One of the world's great banks.
Where are you, Tony Kubek?
Harry, I'm right down here next to the commissioner's box on the National League side with the president of the National League, Mr. Warren Giles. Mr. Giles, it's early in the ball game yet, but we could be coming back tomorrow.
It looks like we might be back here tomorrow.
This Tiger team has become explosive.
Oh, yeah, the pitching didn't look good at all. It didn't look like they had any stuff, and the Tigers are hitting real good. They're a good hitting ball club. They're a good ball club.
Mr. Giles, they talk about momentum in the series. Should the Tigers go on and win this ball game, you think they'll have the edge going into the seventh game in spite of Bob Gibson?
I don't think anybody has an edge with Gibson pitching. I don't care how many days rest he's had.
You know, they talked about the McLean-Gibson confrontation the other two times, but now it's Lolich with 2 wins versus Gibson with 2 wins. That's going to be quite a seventh game.
Right. And Lolich has pitched great ball, I think. Better ball than anybody besides Gibson.
You like the Tigers?
I think they're a good ball club. I don't like them to win. I don't think they'll win. I don't want them to win.
That's what I was trying to get at. You're pulling for the Cardinals, aren't you?
I surely am. Yes, sir. All the way.
Thank you, Mr. Giles. Now
Victory party tomorrow night.
Well, let's see how it turns out. Thank you, Mr. Giles. Now let's go back up to Kurt and Harry.
Ron Willis, a right-hander, who makes his home in Memphis, Tennessee, is the new pitcher. And Bill Freehand takes the first pitch high. The Tigers have scored 6 runs, and there's still nobody out. Washburn, in his 2 innings, allowed 4 hits and 5 runs. Larry Jaster faced 3 men and allowed 2 hits, 3 runs. Willis misses again. I think you could lip read Willis saying, "I'm all right, I'm all right."
Fans might be wondering the most runs in an inning in a World Series. That was the famous inning in which the Philadelphia Athletics of Connie Mack came from behind to beat the Cubs back in 1929 in the 7th inning. The A's got 10 runs in that inning. That's been the biggest inning in World Series history.
Bill Freehan, who got his first hit of the series in driving a run in the 2nd inning, takes ball 3 high. 3 balls and no strikes. The St. Louis crowd a little stunned by the ball 4 is outside by the ferocious Detroit attack here. The Tigers 8 runs on 6 hits so far. This is the 8th man now to bat in the inning. Downward. Strike, the fastball. Fouled it off, strike 2. I don't know whether you could hear it. We did. A leather-lung fan here just yelled, "All right, now we got him." Downward. Hit 12 homers during the regular season. Curve is low. Word with 1 out of 11. Walked in the 2nd inning. We're in the top of the 3rd. Detroit leads 8-0. Out of play, foul ball. Bill Freehan at first base. 7 men in a row have been on base. 6 of them have scored. Nobody out. Look out. Even up 2-2. Ron Willis, 25-year-old right-hander. 6'2", 185-pounder. Sinking fastball and a pretty good curve. Hit him with a pitch ball. 8 men in a row have reached base. Is that a record, Alan?
Well, they could challenge it. That same Philadelphia A's team sent 15 men to the plate in that one big inning, that 7th inning, against the Cubs back in 29. And now here's the 9th man up for the Tigers.
Denny McLain, with runners at first and second, and he has an 8-0 lead. Hitting a double play his first time at bat. They expect him to bunt. High fastball right under his chin. Did it hit him? Ball 1. Willis, exceptionally wild out there. Cepeda already towards the plate. Pretty bunt. The only play is first base. Shannon to Javier. The first out of the inning.
That's the bunt to move those men over. Make that third baseman handle the ball.
So now with runners at second and third, Dick McAuliffe, who started this inning with a walk, having a good series. This is his first series. He's had 6 out of 22. A tough, aggressive, left-handed hitter with fine power. And they're going to walk him intentionally to get to the right-hand hitting Mickey Stanley. So McAuliffe is being intentionally passed. The bases loaded. 6 runs already home. Tigers leading 8-0. Mickey Stanley, who singled his first time up in the inning. Comes up with the bases loaded. The infield is playing back, hoping for a double play. A fastball high. Willis is always a pitcher who keeps the ball down. He has a sinker and a curve. He's off on his control today. Strike caught the corner. Stanley from Grand Rapids, Michigan. 26 years old. The bases are jammed. Cepeda out, throwing to the plate. He's out on a force play with McCarver making a one-handed, backhanded grab of the throw. So Freehan was forced at the plate from Cepeda to McCarver. That's 2 out, and here's Al Kaline. He singled and drove in a run earlier in the inning. He now is batting .391 in his first World Series. Another hit. 1 run is in. Another man's going to score. And it's 10-0. An 8-run inning for Detroit. Al Kaline. Second hit of the inning. He now has driven in 3 runs in this inning alone. Now leads in the series with RBIs with 7. And Detroit about to send the World Series into the decisive 7th game tomorrow. It's a 5th hit of the inning. A big blow was a grand slam by Jim Northrup and pitching coach Billy Muffet. Again comes out. And with Cash, the batter, this is the second time in the inning that Cash will be facing a relief pitcher, a different relief pitcher. Jaster was brought in to pitch to him earlier in this inning, and Cash lined a single to center to drive in a run. Now, another new pitcher will be brought in. As the new pitcher, Dick Hughes, comes towards the mound with a break in the action, the score here now is Detroit 10, St. Louis nothing.
Oh, I'm so nervous. What if I got Dodge fever right in the middle of cutting this $2 million diamond?
Some things just can't wait, like the Dodge Dart Swinger 340. Young, new compact with a wild new personality. The size, style, and looks say it all.
Please, I don't want to make a boo-boo.
with bumblebee stripes, dual exhaust, 4 on the floor, and a new high-performance hood. What gives the Swinger its swing? 340 cubes of V8.
Easy. Oh, no. Oh, boy, am I going to get yelled at.
Dodge Dart Swinger 340 for 1969. Dodge Fever. More distracting than ever.
Dodge is turning up the fever now.
We pause briefly for station identification. Let's switch to Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Harry. Down here with a couple of young boys. What are your names?
Well, I'm Jean Wheel.
What's your name?
I'm Donald Steele.
What do you do in our school?
Well, our principal and our teachers let us out.
They did.
Yeah.
You enjoying the game? I know you're enjoying being on TV, but the Cardinals are down 10-0. Are you happy about that?
No. I see Dick Hughes just got on the mound, and Ron Willis left.
You know all the players on this team by name and number and everything else and batting averages?
Almost.
You do? You're a real baseball fan then, aren't you?
Yeah.
You must be. You've got good seats.
Yeah.
Boys, nice talking to you. Maybe the Cardinals can get some runs on the scoreboard.
I sure hope so.
We'll see. Okay.
Thank you, Tony. Bye, Tony.
We'll see you, boys. Now let's go back upstairs to Kurt and Harry.
And the lady directly behind Tony and the two youngsters was Mrs. Stan Musial, by the way, in your picture a moment ago. Dick Hughes' first pitch is in there, a strike call to Norm Cash. Cash 2 times at bat in the same inning, 2 different pitches that he has faced. There's a long drive, twisting foul, and out of play. Al Kaline's base hit, which was his second of the inning, tied a record held by 13 others for most hits in one inning in World Series play, namely in to wit, 2. Dick Hughes' fastball is foul back. Runners at first and third. The fastball is low. This is the 13th man to bat in this inning. Foul back. 2 strikes and a ball.
You know, Harry, coming into this game, the Cardinals had outscored the Tigers in the series 25 runs to 17. Now the Tigers have scored the most runs.
Base hit. Another run is in. A high hopper over Cepeda's head. And Stanley has scored the 9th run of the inning. And Cash has become the 15th man in World Series history, joining Al Kaline and 13 others in making 2 hits in one inning in World Series play.
And the Tigers are now 1 run away from tying an all-time record of 10 runs an inning and 1 batter away from tying the record for 15 men going to the plate.
And here's Willie Horton. Fastball low and outside. Dick Hughes is quite a story, and it shows you how things can change in baseball. A year ago, he was the Cardinals' leading pitcher with 16 victories. This past season, he was rarely used. He was on the disabled list. He had a sore arm. 2 balls, no strikes on Horton. I tell you, if Horton gets on without the runner from third base, Kaline scoring, Jim Northrup, I know, could establish a world's record of 2 grand slammers in one inning. Foul back this way. There, we not only needed the net for the baseball, Kurt, but for protection. Willie Horton, men at first and third. Tigers leading 11-0. Almost a wild pitch, a good stop by McCarthy. 0-3. I think the crowd is beginning to realize the setting that is possible should Horton walk. And that is Northrop coming up again with the bases loaded. The 3-1 pitch by Hughes. Ground ball right back off his hip. It's going to go for a hit and a run scores.
That ties the World Series record going all the way back to 29 when the A's scored 10 runs in the 7th inning against the Cubs. The Tigers now have scored 10 runs against the Cardinals and are sending their 15th man to the plate to also tie a record.
Horton, a hit off Hughes' hip. And Al Kaline scored that World Series tying run, the 10th run of the inning. Runners at first and second. High drive, the left field block is there. The inning is over. 10 runs, 7 hits, no errors, 2 left. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. It's Detroit 12, St. Louis nothing.
We're about to take you on a voyage to a fantastic razor blade.
You've heard about the Gillette spoiler, haven't you? Well, if you come up to the edge with me, I'll show you why it spoils you. Baked onto the edge here is a miracle plastic coating that reduces the pull to a fraction. Every time you shave, you wear off a little of the coating. But after many shaves, the plastic film still covers the edge of the blade. The edge of cold steel doesn't touch your face.
Gillette Super Stainless.
NBC, truly the World Series network. That's a hotel beyond the ballpark. You see those men up on top? Rather precarious position. If they're watching the World Series, maybe they're doing some maintenance work. Looks like it. But NBC, the World Series network, presents the World Series of Baseball on January 12th of '69, the Super Bowl, the World Series of Pro Football, and next March, the World Series of College Basketball, the NCAA Basketball Championship. Well, McLean's had a long sit in that dugout, and we'll see what that big top of the 3rd with a long wait now has done to him. He's got a few runs to work with.
What an inning. Jim Northrop, a grand slam homer. Al Kaline and Norm Cash, 2 hits in the same inning. Here's Javier to lead it off against Denny McLain. The fly ball will be caught by Kaline. We had 2 men get 2 hits in an inning, Kaline and Cash, and we had 3 men who scored 2 runs in the inning. That could be a record, too. 3 different men scored 2 runs in that inning. McAuliffe, Stanley, and Kaline. Here's Dow Maxville looking for his first hit of the series. McLean's fastball is high. In all World Series history, only 3 men have scored twice in the same inning. And here the Tigers had 3 men in the same inning. 2 balls and a strike. That evens it 2-2. Denny McLain with a 12-0 lead. Tigers missed the extra point on each touchdown. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Darryl Maxville, nothing out of 16 in the series. He and Freehan had identical records before today. All 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The Cardinals' biggest inning of the year was 10, by the way, against Cincinnati in a ball game this summer. The fly ball will be caught by Jim Northrup. 2 men are out. McLean's allowed only 1 hit, and that was erased in a double play. Here is Dave Ricketts, utility catcher, coming out as a pinch hitter. Ricketts, 33 years old, takes the first pitch in there. During the season, he was at bat only 22 times, had 3 hits for a 136 average, making his first World Series appearance. Two men are out, 1 ball, 1 strike, 12-0 Detroit. Ricketts, a member of the Cardinals last year, as they won the World's Championship, making his first appearance in a World Series game. 2 balls, 2 strikes. McLean. The Cardinals use a 5.5-pound magnesium bat in the on-deck circle, call it a Maggie bat. Base hit for Ricketts. A line single to center. Tell you, the way that ball was flying through the air in the top half of the inning, it would have seemed that maybe the Tigers are using that 5.5-pound bat. 10 runs. Ricketts had appeared in the World Series last year as a pinch hitter. Gets his first hit. Here's Brock. Long drive. K-line is going to be there. Takes it. Brock lines deep to K-line. No runs, 1 hit. No errors, 1 left. At the end of 3, Detroit 12, St. Louis nothing.
Announcing your next car, the great new Chrysler. Your next car can surround you with a curved new fuselage design where body and frame are one. Your next car can be a quiet unity of glass and steel with a soaring symmetry of motion. Your next car can be an extension of your own exhilaration of movement. Your next car is here at a price you can afford. Chrysler, your next car is Chrysler. The great new Chrysler for 1969.
Now covering more ground around shortstop, Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Harry. I'm down here again by the Cardinals dugout with the next Dodger great, Joe Black, great relief pitcher. Joe, I see you walking around with that tape recorder and interviewing people before the game. What are you doing here?
Well, Tony Graham let me come down and represent some Negro newspapers and Negro radio stations. I'm trying to learn how to find out what the ball players are thinking.
You already know that, don't you? You played this game yourself.
Well, after those 10 runs, I wonder.
Joe Black, thank you so much for stopping by. Let's go back upstairs to Kurt and Harry.
Bill Freehand will lead it off against a new pitcher, Steve Carlton. The left-hander. Fastball is missed, strike one. Carlton, during the regular season, 113, lost 11, earned run average 2.95. As pitch, 1 inning in the series. Slow roller. Shannon, in time, got Freehand.
He had something on that throw.
He's got a great arm. You know, he's originally an outfielder. I'm sure everybody knows that. And a wonderful transition was made as he became a outstanding third baseman. For the third time in the series in St. Louis, absolute capacity, 54,692. Wirt fouls off the first pitch. Well, looks like 7 again. Wirt pops up. Knoxville. 2 away.
And in 7 last year, Gibson pitching the 7th game with 3 games rest. And Lolich will be pitching with 2 days rest the same way Lombard did last year.
2 men are out. Denny McClain, the batter. Steve Carlton from Miami, Florida. Won't be 24 until December. 1 strike and no ball. McClain had another whiff. 2 strikes, no ball. Then he rolled into a double play in the second. Laid down a sacrifice in the third. Had 18 hits during the regular season, so he can hit. Struck him out. Nothing across. At the end of 3.5 innings, the Tigers 12, St. Louis nothing.
Once you get off the beaten track, weekend driving can be fun. Though sometimes the unexpected can happen, especially when your wife is with you. The chair that looked just like it matched Granny's set didn't, of course. But it's astonishing the number of things she's always wanted. She's never mentioned till now. That's when it's nice to have cash on hand at the Commerce. Cash for spending, cash for saving. The Commerce checking account plus savings account gives you the best of both worlds. Lets a man be his own master. Yes, sir. Weekend drivers sometimes get an unexpected bonus, especially when they keep cash on hand. Keep cash on hand at the Commerce.
Bottom of the 4th. And if you're just joining us for some reason, where you been? It's the Tigers 12, St. Louis nothing. Here's Curt Flood. Fastball high. High again. You know, and I mentioned that the Cardinals scored 10 runs in an inning game earlier this year in Cincinnati. High fly. K-line on the run. So is McAuliffe. And McAuliffe makes the catch.
There's a boy that's really done a great job in the field. He became an all-star American League shortstop with his bat. They moved him to second. Now he's become an excellent second baseman. He's played very steadily, made 2 brilliant plays in the 5th game, and he's been all over there at second base.
In that game in Cincinnati earlier this year, the Cardinals were trailing 8-0 when they exploded with 10 in the fifth inning and won the game 10-8. The most runs they scored in a game during the season was 11. 1 ball, 1 strike on Roger Maris. He bounced out his first time with Don Wirt making a good play. McLean's allowed only 2 hits. Ground ball, McAuliffe. Whoop! Gets by. Ball may have taken a bad hop. Let's see what it will be. It's ruled a base hit. So it did take a bad hop. Here's Cepeda. That's a 3rd hit off McLean. Cepeda has 1 of them. Maris just got 1 of them. And pinch hitter Dave Ricketts got the other one. He had a cut, but missed. Popped up. That should be easy. Stanley makes the grab. Cepeda popped to Mickey Stanley at short. And here's Tim McCarver. Right out his first time. He's hitting .333 in the series. 7 out of 21. Cardinals have had no runners get past first. Only 3 got there. The fastball high. One ball, no strikes. 2 away. 12-0 Detroit, bottom of the 4th. Had a cut and fouled it back. Tim McCarver. That's Shannon waiting to hit next. Line foul. Into the left field corner. 2 strikes and a ball. Roger Maris at first base. Norm Cash not holding him on. Tigers have the big lead. High. The 4 pitchers used by the Cardinals in that 3rd inning tied another World Series record. It's been done 5 times previously, a team using 4 pitchers in 1 inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 12-0 Detroit. Denny McLean. Struck him out. All out, and it's no runs. 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. And at the end of 4 full innings, it remains Detroit 12, St. Louis nothing.
Second luck. Let's get Dodge Charger. Hey, where you going?
Sorry, fellas. He's already a winner. He's got Dodge Fever.
Dodge Charger, Formula 69. That's the name of the performance game. 5 big V8s to choose from, all the way up to the 426 Hemi on the Charger RT. Charger, the clean machine, with formula looks from its hideaway headlights to this rear view you give other drivers as you leave them longing. Inside, you know you've got yourself a thoroughbred that's hot to turn you on. Get Charger while the fever's hot.
Dodge is singing up the fever now. Get your cheer for a new Dodge Fever now.
Dodge Fever at your Dodge dealer.
Joe DiMaggio will make a 17-day tour of military hospitals in the Pacific along with 3 active players at the close of the season. A trip arranged by the Commissioner of Baseball, William D. Eckert, in cooperation with the Department of Defense and the USO. Outfielder Rick Monday of Oakland, pitchers Ron Klein of the Pirates and Ron Taylor of the Mets will accompany DiMaggio to hospitals in Japan, the Philippines, Okinawa, Guam, and Hawaii. When McLean struck out McCarver on a called third strike, it was his first strikeout of the game, ending the 4th inning, and now McAuliffe. 1 strike, no ball. Carlson's pitch is low. The ball game is in the top of the 5th. McAuliffe coming up for the 4th time. He's walked twice, scored both times. Fanned his first time at bat. Strike call. Vic McAuliffe. Who started that 10-run 3rd inning with a walk. Walked again his 2nd time up in the inning and scored both times. Struck him out on a curveball. Now Mickey Stanley scored 2 runs in the 3rd inning. He's had 1 out of 3. Now has hit 5 hits in the series and 22 times at bat. Strike. Carlson very sharp with a fastball over the inside corner at the knee. The curve is low into the dirt, evens it up, a ball and a strike. Well, it comes down to the 2 unbeaten pitchers. Lolich, who has won 2, Bob Gibson, who has won 2. If the Tigers win and they're leading 12-0. Bouncing ball, Maxwell firing to first in time. There's a mini portable camera that you see Tony Kubek doing all the interviews in the stands with. Or what won't they invent next? Al Kaline takes a curved strike call.
Just the advancement in the last 10 years here in television and what they've done is almost unbelievable. What'll it be 10 years from now?
Al Kaline, who's had a great day. We're almost hit. Kaline with 2 hits in 1 inning, 2 runs scored, drove in runs with each of his hits, 1 the first hit, 2 the second hit. There she goes! No doubt about it! Home run! Al Kaline, 3rd straight hit. His 2nd home run. He now has driven in 8 runs. So he leads in home runs and in RBIs in the World Series. And in hits. Cepeda has 2 home runs for the Cardinals. And so has Lou Brock. Here now is Cash. Base hit. Kaline now has had 11 hits in 25 times at bat. He has tied Lou Brock of the Cardinals for the most hits in the series. Willie Horton. Tigers on a rampage. Popped up. Maxville. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left. We're going to the bottom of the 5th with the score. Detroit 13, St. Louis nothing.
If you've been looking for a lime shaving cream that's not too sweet, Gillette Foamy has what you've been looking for. Because Gillette Foamy has this. The lemon lime. It's part lemon, part lime. The essence of the lemon keeps the tang in the lime. And that keeps this shaving cream from smelling too sweet. Gillette Foamy with lemon lime. Wait till your face gets a taste of it.
Introducing the sporty new 1969 Gillette Techmatic Razor. The fabulous razor band and the dramatically light touch are still standard equipment. But this year's model has one bold new feature. A little dial you can adjust to give yourself a closer shave. We call it the adjustable Gillette Techmatic.
We're going into the bottom half of the fifth inning. It's 13-0 in favor of the Detroit Tigers. And now moving in to take over the play-by-play, NBC's Game of the Week announcer, my dear and good friend for many years, Curt Gowdy.
Nice job, Harry Carey. Here is Shannon leading off. He hit into a double play his first time. Foul back. As we said before the game, a hypodermic needle has become a big story. In Game 6, Denny McLain injected in the right shoulder yesterday with a combination of xylocaine and cortisone. Strike two. And after the injection, he threw on the sidelines. The Tiger Stadium announced his right shoulder felt much better. So far, he has shut out the Cardinals with 3 hits. His 0-2 pitch to Shannon. 1-2. Javier's on deck, and then Maxwell.
But they used a needle on those bats, too, Curt.
Injected something in those, didn't they? A 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. Strikeout number 2 for McLain. We had a wire from some fan wanting to know if they would give McLain a saliva test after the game. No. Anyway, you can get these ball players on the field. You know, a trainer in a team position is very important in professional sports or any sport. It's been said that a good trainer and doctor can mean 10 or 12 games in a standing, getting an injured player back in the lineup, keeping them healthy. 1 out, nobody on. Javier applied to right his first time. Batting .400 in this series, having another good one. Ball 1 to him. 13-0. The Tigers leading in the last of the fifth. Two and nothing. Denny McLain earned those 31 victories, but his club scored for him all year, too. It scored for him today. A 2-0 pitch. That was caught at third by Don Word, a very steady fielding third baseman. 2 down. Dal Maxwell, now the only regular player who's appeared in the starting lineup day after day, who is still looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 17. 2 down, bases empty. Blaine lays it right in there to him. His curve is outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Foul back. It's 1-2 to Del Maxwell. Foul away. One ball, 2 strikes. 2 down, nobody on. Fly ball headed toward the right field corner, and it is a foul ball. Maxwell nearly had his first hit. The weatherman says it's going to be nicer tomorrow. Or will be, unless the Cardinals put on a miracle rally here. That's the pitcher, Carlton, on deck. A 1-2 pitch. Top to foul. Another fly. That's headed toward the right field corner. Kaline hustling hard. Another great play by Kaline. Same play that he made in Game 2 off the bat of Orlando Cepeda. Kaline's doing it all for the Tigers in this series. 3 up and 3 down at the end of 5. It's Detroit 13 and St. Louis nothing.
This is one of Canada's 3 luxury cars. Like the other 2, it costs around $7,000 or $8,000, weighs 2.5 tons, has a huge engine and power equipment. But this is the longest of the 3, the one with the 5-speaker stereo system, with a chrome steel torsion bar front suspension, built-in headrest pillows, slightly larger brakes, and if you like, a separate rear seat heater and defroster.